there. So let's look at this, example 3b. Please note that this is a little bit of a typo. It should have been x squared minus x minus 20. Okay, A has a value of 1. Very good. B has a value of -1. Okay, because you got that ninja. We love those ninjas, right? And then C has a value of -20. Okay, don't forget to include those signs. So I have -20 here, and I have -1. Okay, because remember it's B on top and A times C on the bottom. Okay, so now I'm looking for, let's see, I've got a negative. The only way to get that is with different signs, right? So I got a positive and I have a negative. I'm going to go to my calculator.
Hi, so on your calculator, what we want to do is we want to go to y equals, okay? We're going to type in the -20, and we're going to put that, 20. We're going to put that alpha y equals 1, and on the bottom, you always have x, okay? So go to the right, and we just set it up like that. Now, remember, -20 was A times C, so whatever is in the bottom block, that's what you're going to put on top. And so in order to get to your table, you select second graph to get to the table, second table. And we're looking for two numbers that are going to have a sum of -1. So I'm looking here, we're looking at like -19, -8, -1. There you go. This one actually, 5 minus 4 is +1. So I definitely like the 4 minus 5. And that's what I'm going to go ahead and put in there. And if you need to double check that, maybe you're a little rusty, you can always do this and actually just check 4 minus 5 gives you -1. And that's exactly what we're looking for.
So let's go over here. Now I'm going to keep the sign of the negative. So 5 is my bigger number, right? And I'm definitely going to put that next to the negative. And my smaller number will go next to the positive. We keep the sign of the larger number. So therefore, we kept negative. We need to make sure the negative goes next to the 5. Let's go ahead and write this down. Okay. And circle our answer. Okay, not so good. Let me try again. A little better. And there we are. Yay? Feeling confident? You can do this? Yes? Good. All right, let's go ahead and let's look at our next example, example 4a. Again, a little bit of a typo. We'll rewrite it. This is actually x squared plus 2x equals 15. Now notice, let's go back and look at all the other problems. What's different and unique about this problem? Let me go back and look at them. Okay. If this thing will work with me. Okay. We didn't have an equal sign, right? So this is kind of combining a little bit of what we had before. The thing I think you really should remember is that before we can start factoring, we must set everything equal to 0. So I'm going to write that down. Before we factor, set everything, like move everything to one side. You must have your entire equation equal 0. Set the equation to equal 0. Okay, so let me show you what I mean. Basically, I need to move this 15. How do I move the 15? Very good. Subtract 15, subtract 15. Is 15 like terms with any of these? No. So we're just going to write it to the side and set this equal to 0. This is what I mean when I say let's set it equal to 0. Okay? Now that I have it in the right form, I can totally identify what A is, okay, what B is, and what C is. Remember, we have the AC in the basement. and b is on top. Okay, so 2 and negative 15. I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to be negative 15 and have a difference of 2. I know that because if I have a negative product, my signs are positive and negative, right? Different signs, difference. Okay, let's go to the calculator and
So in your calculator, y equals, and let's go ahead and replace the negative 20 here with negative 15. I'm just going to type right over it. Notice how we have it always over x. I'm going to go to the right, make sure it looks the way I want it to. And then I'm going to select the table second graph, which will take me to the table. Now I'm looking for a sum that's going to add up to 2, the number on top, right? And so 1 minus 15 is negative 14. Ignore all the fractions or decimals. That's not going to help you. 3 minus 5 is negative 2. So close, but no. And then we have 5 minus 3, which is positive 2. So I can definitely double check that. 5 minus 3, positive 2, the number I'm looking for. 5 and negative 3 are my two numbers, my two factors.
okay, we are looking at 3 and 5. This is positive, so 5 is going to go with the positive. Good. We always keep the sign of the larger number. And then I take those two and just pop them right in. I got x plus 5 times x minus 3. Now don't forget, this equals 0, right? I'm going to go in here and continue because I wrote too big. I'm going to go in here. And when I have a problem like this, and it's already factored, remember the zero product property, right? Anything times 0 is 0. So what that means is that I could set this equal to 0, or I could set this equal to 0, and the whole thing is true. So that's exactly what I'm going to do to come up with my solutions, okay? I'm going to split it into two problems. The first problem here, x plus 5 equals 0. The second problem is x minus 3 equals 0, because again, if I can make the whole thing 0, this whole parenthesis 0, it doesn't even matter what that is. The whole thing will be true. So I'm going to move my 5, subtract 5, subtract 5. X is equal to negative 5, or, and, plus 3, x is equal to 3. So how many solutions do I have? I have two solutions, right? I could have x equal negative 5, and, or I could have x equal to 3. Okay? Let's go ahead and we can check this out. I'll show you how it works. Let's go over here to our Cornell notes. Do this. And we can actually just check it right here. So I'm going to put in example for A. And we're going to check our answers. The first one was x was equal to negative 5. And the other one was x was equal to 3, right? Sometimes they may even write it in a solution set. And we're going to pretend those are curly brackets. They're pretty bad, but you get the idea. They may even write it like that. Just depends, okay? So the way that we can do it, we can actually just start off with x squared plus 2x equals 15. And simply plug it in, okay? We'll do it 2 times. First time, I'm going to plug in negative 5, right? Everything else is going to be the same, except for everywhere I have an x, I put parentheses. And I'm just going to plug in negative 5, right? So negative 5 times negative 5, 25. And you could actually, that was weird, you could actually just check this in your calculator if you wanted to. I'm going to go ahead and just do it by hand. But I've got the idea of 25 minus 10 equals 15. And yep, that checks out. I'm going to go ahead and do it again with 3 squared plus 2 times 3. Does that equal 15? I end up with 9 plus 6. And yes, that equals 15 as well. Okay, so this is, we can check it like this. Okay, all right. All right, welcome back. This is our last section for 8-6, I believe. Yes, 8-6. And I just want to point out one thing I think I forgot to mention on example 4A, that our solution, if they're asking us to solve, we could have x is equal to -5 or x is equal to 3. And sometimes they're going to write it using a solution set. Okay, where the curly brackets indicate a solution set. We put our smallest number followed by our next largest number. So you may see it, either way. So just kind of be prepared. Okay, let's go ahead and let's look at example number 5. Okay, we have an architecture example here where Marion wants to build a new art studio that has about 3 times the amount of her old studio by increasing the length and width by the same amount. What should the dimensions of her new studio be? So the first thing I want to focus on is this thing that says 3 times the area of her old studio. So let's go ahead and figure out, what is the area of her old studio? Well, 12 times 10, which results in, good, 120 square feet. Okay, so if I want 3 times that, how many square feet are we talking about? Good. 360 square feet. Now, just because I have my little exponent of 2 on top of the unit doesn't mean that I'm going to square 360. All that's referring to is the way that we measure it, right? It's referring to like a tile on the piece of the floor, okay? So this is what we want the total to equal now. Now we have to figure out our dimensions. On the top, we have x, and we have 12 feet. So in algebra, how do we say and? Good. That's x plus 12. And if this side is x plus 12, what is the vertical side? Good. X plus 10. Beautiful. So that's what we're going to do. Let's set up our equation. We're going to multiply, because that's how we get the area. We're going to multiply x time plus 10 times x plus 12, and that has to equal 360. Okay. Now, yes, or in our previous examples, we started setting each factor equal to 0. The only problem is that this is not equal to 0, right? And so we can't do that until we have 0 on this end. So for that reason, we need to go ahead and distribute this and move over the 360. Because remember our 3 steps for solving an equation. Number 1, good, is to simplify. Okay, no parentheses, no like terms. Number 2, move. You're going to move all your x's to one side, all of your variables to the other. Number 3, divide. Okay, divide by your coefficient. So when I'm doing that, let's go ahead and I'm going to simplify, get rid of those parentheses, okay? Uh, we'll do the box here. If you're more comfortable with FOIL, by all means use FOIL, but we'll just kind of demonstrate this using the box. So I've got a little box here. Okay. And you can draw it on yours too. I probably should have just used this box right here. That's okay. I got this. All right, so I'm going to put in x plus 10, x plus 12, and in this box we have x squared, very good, because when we multiply we change our exponents. X times 12 is 12x. 10 times x, 10x. And 10 times 12, 120. So this right here represents the original room that she was in, okay? Um, so let's go ahead. We're going to combine like terms. When I combine my like terms, did I mess around with the exponents? No. So it's just going to end up being x squared plus 10 plus 12 is 22x plus 120. And this is all going to equal 360. So now I need to get it to be equal to 0. This is where I've done my simplification, right? And now I'm going to start with moving all my constants, usually to one side, but I want this to be equal to 0, so let's do it like this. Let's go ahead and subtract 360, bring it on down, and I've got x squared plus 22x, and different signs difference, keep the sign of the larger one, and we're looking at 240. That's going to be equal to 0. Okay. So now I can identify what is a, because remember we have ax squared plus bx plus c. Good if you said 1. B has a value of 22, and c has a value of negative 240. Okay, so remember that when we're looking at our box, I'm going to go ahead and shift up just a little bit. When we're looking at our box, b is on top, and a times c is on the bottom. So that's going to be negative 240 with 22 on top. Well, that's definitely a big number, so I don't know about you, but I'm going to be going back to my calculator.
Okay, so we're in our calculator and we select y equals. Now I do want to point out, it doesn't really matter if you have the negative up here or in the denominator. So if you wanted to, you could totally type in, for us, we're going to have negative 240, and you could type it and you're going to get the same result, okay? So it doesn't matter if it's on the side or on the top or on the bottom for that matter. But here we go, second table. And we're looking for two numbers that have a sum of 22, okay? So these are really far away. So I'm not going to even bother. Like 3 and 80, I mean, we're talking like 77, right? 6 and 40, still super far. Let's see. And 8 and negative 30. Okay, so 8 minus 30 is negative 22. But if we had the signs the opposite, we would have what we would need, right? Negative 8 and positive 30. And so I bet you anything, we could go up here, like in this direction, negative 8 and 30, positive 30. Yeah, there you go. So we can just double check it. You could say negative 8 plus 30. And there's your 22 that we're looking for. So perfect. Negative 8 and 30 would be your factors.
At this right here, I have a negative here, right? So automatically I know my signs are going to be good, different. And when I have different signs, I want the difference, right? So let's go ahead and find two numbers that multiply by 240 and have a difference of 22. Let's go over here. There we go. Looking for a difference of 22. I'm going to scroll down. 80 minus 3, not 22. 60 minus 4, not 22. Keep going down until the numbers get a little closer together. 40 and 6, well, that has a difference of 34, right? 40 minus 6 is 34. That's a decimal, we'll skip that. And 30 minus 8 is 22. Okay, we have a winner. So 30 and 8 are the two numbers I'm going to put in. Okay. Now, we keep the sign of the larger number, right? So when I look at this, I notice that 22 is positive. That means my larger number is 30, and I'm going to place that by the plus sign. And then I'm going to put my smaller number of 8 right here. Now that I have this, I can go ahead and put in my answer of x plus 30 times x minus 8. And this is going to be equal to 0. Have we answered the question yet? Well, the question is, what should the dimensions of the new studio be? No, we haven't quite answered it yet. So let's go ahead and let's continue to solve, okay? So when I solve, I'm going to split this up into two different problems. I'm going to have one problem, x plus 30 equals 0. I'm going to have another problem, x minus 8 equals 0. Okay, here all we have to do is move minus 30, minus 30. Here I'm going to add 8, add 8. We're doing the additive inverse. And I result in x is equal to negative 30 and x is equal to positive 8. So when we look at this, although both mathematically will work, however, which one is logical? Okay, if you said X being 8 is the logical choice, absolutely, because I never walk into a room and see a room that's negative 30 by negative 20 feet, right? So let's go ahead and let's use X being 8. And we're going to plug that in. Instead of X here, I'm going to put in 8, 8 plus 10. That means my dimension for this one is 18, 18 feet. And the dimension for this side is going to be not X plus 12, but 8 plus 12, which is equal to 20, 20 feet. So my final answer is as such. The dimensions of the new studio, make sure you always include the unit of measurement, is the new dimensions of the new studio are 20 feet by 18 feet. Okay, any questions? All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope this was an easy lesson, and I look forward to practicing it and seeing how everybody's going to do so well on this, okay? All right, have a great day. Bye-bye.